Hello everyone. In this video, we're actually going to be taking a look at a video from CNN. It's Chris Cuomo's closing arguments on supposed systematic racism. Basically, I haven't done one of these videos in a while. I decided, instead of going through an article, watching this was something worth basically looking at what Fredo had to say and going through it and calling his bullshit out. Anyway, let's start going through this thing here, and I'll try to torch you as little as possible with him. Let's see how quickly we can get through this.
The argument starts here with Trump's economic advisor saying this.
I don't believe nowadays we have systemic racism.
You said you don't believe systemic racism?
I do not.
At all in the U.S.?
I do not.
You don't think there's any systemic racism against African Americans in the United States?
I will say it again. I do not.
Because there isn't any systematic racism in this country. And the funny thing is as we get into this video, you're going to see all of his sources to say Trump evil, Trump don't know what he's talking about, yada, yada, yada. If they are sources, which is, some of them are pretty questionable, they all go back to when Obama was in office. So wouldn't it mean that Obama was a racist against blacks even though he was one? Just a thought. And the Democrats controlled both houses through a large part of his 2 terms. So there's that as well. I don't know what to say to him except get a fucking clue. So anyway, let's see what Fredo has to say here.
All right, this isn't believing in something like the tooth fairy. All right, it's about fact. He is wrong.
See, you're talking about believing in something that is like the tooth fairy because you're saying that the system, by design, goes against blacks, which is not the case.
It's not a matter of opinion. It's a matter of fact.
No, it's a matter of fucking opinion, asshole.
And it is a fact that you see everywhere you look in black and white. The immediate proof is in the cabinet.
Which, you got to love this. You see it in black and white. Now he brings up the cabinet. This is what's funny.
Trump has 1 black cabinet member and 1 black domestic policy advisor. Kudlow's the president's economic advisor. So let's start with the economy.
All right, before we do that. Now, how many members are there to a cabinet? Because it's around 10 or 20 or whatever. He's got 2 between those 2 things. We'll say there's 20 people. He's got 2. That's about 10%. They're 13% of the population. That's about equal representation. But we don't even have to go there because whatever happened to the fact of having the best person for the job? See, he wants them to stack, like on the idea of the cabinet and that with Trump, he's using this bullshit excuse or example. We're saying, well, he should have stacked it with more black people instead of picking the best people for the job.
White people make more money than blacks do.
Okay, wealth gap. 2016 median wealth gap by household. All right, white households. This is from Pew Research, and it's complete bullshit. They say 171,000 black households, 19,000.
Period. Even if they have the same.
All right, let's go to Wikipedia. All right, this is list of ethnic groups in the United States by household income. By race, median household income, 2018. All right, non-Hispanic white, 70,642 is the median household income. Black, 41,361. Now, what does that tell you when you have them trying to claim that black people only make median income $19,100 a year, as opposed to white households, the median income being $171,000. So right off the bat, using a supposed 2016 figure from Pew Research that is easily full of shit, because median household, that means that the middle average household income is $171,000 for white people. That makes absolutely no sense. The same with the median household income of blacks being $19,100 a year. They're full of shit when the number's that low, but they're too stupid to think that people are going to notice that.
Same level of education, even if they're in the same jobs. In fact, that fundamental divide is as wide now as it was.
Now look, the wealth gap, Washington Post. Now, in this thing of, well, if you have blacks or whites in the same job, same education, blacks make less. That's complete and total horseshit. It's illegal to pay someone less money who is black. It is legal to pay a woman less money than a man. But see, they keep pushing this bullshit narrative.
The year Dr. King was shot. So much for Trump's economy being the best ever for black people. Not relatively, and relativity matters. Black people are not only more likely to be
Now, this is what's funny. They're pulling shit from, like, when before Trump was fucking in office, when Obama was in office. All right. And here, they pull the unemployment and underemployment figures for April. Why didn't they pull them from before the pandemic that they've been hyping up? All right. Because, oh, that's right. There was record low unemployment in the black community. Go figure.
They're also more likely to be underemployed. For all Mr. Kudlow's talk about the stock market, blacks don't invest nearly as much as whites. Even when you include 401ks, systemic racism extends.
So wait a minute, because black people aren't investing in the stock market, that's systematic racism according to him, and that's supposedly a fact. Mark this as Chris Cuomo being the sage of all, claiming that. So it must be real.
Government programs as well. Going back to the New Deal, the federal housing program that helped build the suburbs was often off limits to blacks.
Yeah, and I wonder why. Oh, that's right. Progressive Democrats, the racist fuckers, okay? The Democrat Party, once a racist, always a racist. See, now it's about low expectations. Before it was keep them out of this and that and the other thing. And yeah, New Deal, progressives, guess what? That's all on you, you stupid fuck. That's all on you guys on the left.
Lending practices, redlining, drawing an area around black neighborhoods, illegal, but their effects linger.
And again, that was done by Democrats. Oh my God. Be honest here, you piece of shit.
Blacks are far less likely to own a home than whites.
Okay, blacks are far less likely to own homes compared to whites because, I don't know, they don't have necessarily the means to do it because they don't take their credit necessarily as seriously. A large percentage of the black population collect federal benefits like welfare, and they can't go out and get a home and still collect it. You have it with the fact of just, they don't, live in areas where they can afford to buy a home. A good example would be like living in the, inner city. You can't afford to buy property in the inner city when these inner cities are Democrat, controlled. And because of things like limiting what can be developed for property and stuff like that, look at San Francisco. All right. Rents skyrocket. The value of property skyrockets because you can't build anything. So the existing property, the prices go through the roof. And you wonder why blacks have a problem with home ownership. Could it be Democrat fucking policies? Which, if you want to talk about systematic racism, I guess that means the Democrats are the fucking racists. Just a thought.
That's only widened since 2004.
Okay, and the home ownership gap has widened since 2004. Okay, not by much. And they noticed it's 2016. So basically the end of Obama's term. So you had 2004, you had pre-Obama, all right? Or wait a minute. I'm sorry. You had pre-Obama, that was Baby Bush. So you had blacks owning homes. Then Obama comes in, Freddie and Fannie, he forces them to hand out loans to people that cannot afford to pay it, which in particular was the black community. It completely fucked the black community. And somehow that's Trump's fault, even though they're cutting off at 2016, which was the year of the election before he even got in. So I guess Obama's White House is racist because that all happened, under Obama, because, we'll say 2004 to 2008. So about there, it's going down slowly, but then it just fucking goes down even more under Obama. Go figure.
And those that do buy a home have to put down more money.
They have to put down more money because their credit isn't nearly as good. So they therefore need to provide more equity in the situation to qualify for the loan.
Equity cushion, it's called. And they have to pay for a higher mortgage.
Again, because their credit is shittier than other people in general. All right? That's why. So I'm not trying to generalize black people, but in a lot of cases, their credit rating is far worse than other ethnic groups. Not only just worse than, say, whites, but worse than, say, Asians, East Asians, Hispanics even, and others.
Meaning what? That even when banks do lend to them, they have tougher terms, even when similarly situated to
Okay,
whites.
similarly situated. All right. Are we making an apples to apples comparison here? Because I really don't think we are. I think this is more like an apples to oranges comparison, because what you're trying to do is say similarly. You're not saying, well, if they have the same type of job, the same profession, make the same money, same credit score, same this, same that, they're paying more. Because you know that's complete horse shit if you were to say that, you dishonest piece of shit, Fredo.
Then there's the question of how you get between work and home. The highway system, this may not seem like a big deal, but just think about it in terms of your existence. A marvel of American ingenuity by white America, but its design skipped over black neighborhoods.
No, it didn't. This is okay. All right. The highway is of white America. No, the highway was of America, period, was a product of America. Okay. You had Ike, when he was in Germany, he saw the Autobahn and went, shit, this is a good idea. We need a national highway system like the Autobahn. All right, he brought it back. And part of the reason why was not only to be able to have the ability for the military to move from coast to coast in the defense of this nation, but also to make it so that each city and each part of the country was interconnected. It had nothing to do with black neighborhoods and white neighborhoods. And the thing is even bigger kick in the ass with this shit is, in the inner city in general, there are less exits for the inner city because guess what? The highway, you have a harder time putting in the exits for the inner city as a general rule. It all depends. All right? You have, and the thing is, oh, well, there's less exits in black neighborhoods. You're talking the inner city. As you get further out, there might be a few more exits, say, at the outer edge of the city. But if it's an older city like Boston, pre-Big Dig, all right, there was only so many places you could put an exit. All right. New York City, same type of idea. So, oh, well, they limit the amount of exits because the inner city, it's kind of hard to put a fucking highway through the center of the city, you dumb shit. And the thing is as you get further and further away from the city where these supposed white neighborhoods are, the exits get further and further apart. So I don't know how you can say there's more exits to white neighborhoods than there are black ones when you're talking, you're trying to say about suburbia, and there aren't a bunch of exits to suburbia. You get off on a main road, and then you travel and take secondary roads to your fucking home in fucking suburbia.
Even if there were as many on-ramps in their communities, many people of color are less likely to own a car because of income and credit challenges.
Oh, so basically you're now finally admitting that their credit is fucking shit. All right. And you're going to say, well, because they don't have the credit to buy a car. Asshole, they can buy $1,000 fucking shitbox. What the fuck are you talking about? They can go and buy $1,000 or $2,000 car or a $3,000 car. You know, they don't have to go out and buy a brand new $40,000 fucking vehicle, shitbrick. So don't try to say, oh, well, it's because of this and that they can't afford to buy cars. They can buy a cheap fucking car. I haven't financed a car in like 20 fucking years. I buy a car within my means. All right. And I drive it for years. So, you know what, shitbrick? If I can do that, they can do that. And I love this. You know, the households without a car, African Americans, 24%, whites, 7%. Well, when blacks overwhelmingly live in the inner city and you have to pay for parking, that's an added expense. So why don't you try to say that them having to park in a parking garage is fucking systematic racism while you're at it there, Fredo?
Thus, they're more likely to depend on public transportation. We invest in buses and trains at a fraction of what we spend on the highways.
Okay,
so again,
now this is what's funny. The National Highway Project, national, $59 billion. Okay, mass transit, 10 point whatever billion. Most of the mass transit in this country has already been developed. It's a matter of maintaining it. And that's a lot smaller scale than trying to maintain, which we're not even really doing a good job at that at $59 billion, of maintaining all the fucking highways, which again, 2008 to 2015, that's under Obama's fucking watch. See, they keep pulling up shit from Obama and going, Trump, Trump, Trump. Or systemic racism or systematic racism. This is all shit during Obama.
They are disserved. Then there's the question of what to do with your kids. Black families work more. And as we've seen, earn
Black families do not work more. That is a complete and total fucking lie. This is like that Ocasio-Cortez, people working 2 jobs at 80 hours a fucking week bullshit. Which, this came from the Center for American Progress, 2014. Again, during Obama's fucking term. Parents in the workforce, children under 6 with all adults working, African American, 75%, non-African American, 63%, which non-African American would be Hispanic, Asian, and so on and so forth. So they're basically trying to go white man bad, and they're grouping in Asians, Hispanics, and everyone else in with them. This is so fucking sleazy.
less. What does that mean? It makes taking care of your kids harder. You don't have the time and you don't have the money. Childcare, tough decision. Once they get into the school system, and this is big, because this is all about the roadway to opportunity. The impact of history still hangs over their head. 58 years between Plessy versus Ferguson, separate but equal, and Brown versus...
You notice how he's setting this up, and he's going to completely lie here, because he's going to be like, oh, well, the blacks keep getting screwed. But they cherry pick everything to push this bullshit. It's so fucked up.
Of education mandating integration. That period wound up influencing how our school system works more arguably than the 62 years since the Little Rock Nine. And here's the proof for that suggestion. Districts with mostly students of color get $23 billion less in funding than white school districts, despite serving about the same number of kids.
Okay. ED build, never heard of the fucking source. And this idea of school funding non-white districts $23 billion less than white districts. How can you call a district a white district and a black district when you have, other ethnicities? It's not like you have a place that's all lily white fucking Irish. You're going to have blacks that go there, Hispanics. You're going to have Asians. So to try to claim white districts and black districts is complete and total fucking misrepresentation of the thing. All right. And what they're trying to compare is some shitty fucking districts, all right, with the fact that you have parents who bust their ass, who fucking travel to fucking work, all right, and save up the money to make sure their kids grow up in fucking suburbia where they can have a better fucking education, which they spend less per student in suburbia than they do in cities like New York and fucking Detroit.
Less money means less power, right? Less pay for teachers, less access to extracurriculars and services and systems, right? We generally pay for schools with things like property taxes, right? And black communities can't support the kind of tax base that powers schools in many white communities.
Excuse me? And even asshole. Most communities where these supposed white communities are fucking suburbia, where the property taxes are fucking lower than in the inner city, meaning they have less fucking money to go around. Where the fuck are you pulling this shit out of your ass?
Even when you adjust for poverty, more is still spent on white students.
See,
Why?
now this is where it's funny. They cherry picked this one. This is from that ED build, erectile dysfunction build fucking bullshit. Spending per student. All right. Poor white districts. How are they grouping this? $12,987, okay, per student, $11,500 in poor non-white districts. See, now they're also taking into now they're conflating other non-whites with, Hispanics and Asians, and which Asians aren't usually living in very, very poor neighborhoods like that, but Middle Eastern and all that. And they're saying, look, they get less. You're living in some say like St. Louis, of course you're going to have a lower than say like say a poor New York City district spent per student, or say Detroit.
Systemic racism. Even how we discipline kids in schools is affected by systemic racism. How do we know? A white kid gets in trouble.
Before we get into this, is fucking hilarious, because they're literally trying to say that because, overall blacks commit more crimes, commit more acts of violence, etc., so on and so forth. All right, that's systemic racism.
Fight at school. The results often look like this. Trip to the principal's office.
Since when, asshole? It's your lefty shitbag buddies that have all said zero fucking tolerance. If a little kid points his finger like a fucking gun, playing cops and fucking robbers, he gets fucking suspended or expelled from school. So I don't see them getting taken, if it's two white kids like you're trying to claim you're fighting, they just go to the office and everything's fine. We have zero fucking tolerance now, shitbrick.
Kid gets in trouble at school, more likely to be disciplined. How? Suspended. Wind up in juvenile justice.
Okay, school discipline, at least one violation. All right. 2011 study of Texas, blah, 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 blah. Black students, 83%. White male, all right, black male students, 83%. White male students, 59%. At least one violation. So it isn't the fact that the black students are more of a disciplinary issue. It's the fact of systemic racism. Yeah, that makes a lot of fucking sense.
Why? Systemic racism built into the fabric of the nation.
Suspended from school. Okay, they just flip through real quick, one of them. Now they're flipping through it again. All right, so now they're in students' chances of ending up in juvenile justice system. At least one suspension. Now this is I'm assuming blacks, okay? No suspensions too. It could be all students.
As built in as the food we eat, the air we breathe, and the water we drink. Why? Because they are all worse in places of poverty.
Food insecure. Okay, let's talk about the whole food security thing. When you have it so that it's not worth it for a grocery store to build a location in the inner city because of property values, because of Democrats, limiting construction and stuff like that, and they have to go to a bodega, all right? They're going to end up paying more than if they had an actual fucking supermarket there, even if the supermarket has to pay more in property taxes and everything else. And this thing of food security is ridiculous. Now, this next one.
Remember Flint? The faces of that suffering? They still suffer today.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is you bring up Flint, shitbrick, and a lot of those people there were fucking white, you cocksucker. Wow, watching Cuomo makes it sound like I have Tourette's. So, chance of breathing polluted air. African Americans, 54% of overall population. Okay. African Americans tend to live in the inner city. The inner city has lower air quality. Problem solved. There's your answer.
The faces are still the same color. Even how we connect. Doesn't matter how much you get paid. If you're black, you got less access to
what? Yeah, because Comcast, won't fucking take a black person's money for the internet. T-Mobile won't take a black person's money, or Sprint, or fucking Metro PCS, prepaid fucking cellular. Okay, I haven't had a contract on cell service for fucking years because I have a fucking kick-ass, no contract required, completely unlimited with Wi-Fi hotspot fucking plan that I've had for years from Metro PCS, and I pay. Okay, I was paying less for it fucking years ago. I'm still paying about the same as what other people were paying for that with a contract and all that other happy horse shit. So don't try to say a black person can't walk into Metro fucking PCS and spend, $40 or $60 a month for unlimited fucking internet with a Wi-Fi hotspot, all right? Or that they can't fucking call up Comcast and go, yeah, I would like to get a high-speed internet. Or they can't call up fucking Verizon or Farpoint or any of these other companies out there and say, yeah, I want to get high-speed internet. Don't fucking try to play us like we're stupid.
It's quite literally a matter of life and death as well. Look at the coronavirus pandemic. Who's getting sick the most? Who's dying the most? Who are the largest percentage of essential workers working in the midst of this risk?
I love this. Everyone working in the medical industry is all fucking black people, according to him. That's what he's trying to fucking play it right here, right now.
Their system, minorities, and they're less likely to have insurance.
If they're working in healthcare, they have fucking insurance, shipwreck. They probably have pretty good insurance. Who the hell are you trying to kid? They are working a profession where one of the things you get is healthcare.
They have access to good care. They have more.
How do they not have access to good care? Not only do they have health care, they work in a fucking hospital.
For premature births, they have shorter life expectancy. They check more of the boxes of chronic conditions.
And you want to know why they check more of the boxes with chronic conditions? It isn't because of systemic racism. It's called fucking genetics, you asshole. Because you know what? When it comes down to us on a genetic level, okay, there are certain predispositions that different ethnic backgrounds have to certain diseases. Like heart disease is one of those ones that black people have a predisposition for. That's not fucking systematic racism. It's called fucking genetics.
The American Academy of Pediatrics last year identified the root cause of
Okay, so Americans are more likely to, chronic conditions, African Americans are more likely to suffer from high blood pressure. That's genetics. Diabetes, part of it's genetics, part of it's their fucking eating habits. Heart disease, genetics. Cancer. I believe certain cancers they're now saying, depends on if they're talking cancer in general or specific cancers. Certain cancers, they're more likely to get. And then the stroke thing, well, that also has to go back to high blood pressure. That has to go back to heart disease, which are they have genetic predispositions for.
health problems over a lifetime is racism. Not race itself.
No, it is race itself. It's called fucking genetics, you stupid shit.
The disparities caused by racism. Finally, the black community's ability to change these disparities should be through our democracy. But their voting rights are compromised.
No, they're not. Their voting rights aren't compromised. Now we're going to go into this fucking bullshit thing that he's going to try to say, oh, well, they're being suppressed. They can't vote.
Gerrymandering. Okay.
Gerrymandering? Oh, you mean like the Democrats have been talking about to get AOC out of the fucking House? That's it. That's Democrats doing that. And you know what's fucked up? Democrats have done it and Republicans have done it. But, you know, he's trying to play like, oh, well, you know, that's just, you know, that's just racism. No, that's called politics. And it's usually the Democrats who are doing it. And then the Republicans are trying to set shit straight because they've rigged fucking districts by rearranging shit in them and changing their shape and everything else so that they have an unfair advantage.
Voter suppression. This is what Trump should be talking about.
Okay, voter suppression. What's your examples of voter suppression? What, wanting voter ID? So that people actually have to show an ID when they show up? Oh, that's right. You're a racist and you think by low expectations black people are too stupid to be able to go down to the DMV and get a driver's license or a non-driver ID. When you need one of those two to get a fucking pack of cigarettes, which, you know, how the fuck are they getting their menthol shipwreck? All right? How are they getting their Mad Dog fucking 2020? I know I'm being fucking stereotypical with those two examples, but I don't give a shit. Because he's trying to play it like people are fucking stupid. How are they able to go into the fucking go into the fucking package store, the liquor store, and buy a fucking buy booze without a fucking ID? They can't. But you claim that they're unable to go and get a fucking ID to vote.
But he doesn't. Not mysterious illegals, but real legalities, like we arguably just saw in Atlanta. And then, yes, there is policing. I don't say the police because this is about more than people or bad apples. It's about the orchard. It's about the system. And again, systemic policies and tactics that work against blacks disproportionately. Cops are more likely to pull over black drivers even when you adjust for daytime and nighttime stops that may make it hard to tell who's driving.
Okay. Are they in the middle of a traffic violation or anything like that?
People of color are more likely to be searched while stopped, even though whites are more likely to actually...
Bullshit. Where's your fucking source for that one, asshole? Okay, so what are you going to say? The crack epidemic of the fucking 1980s was all fucking white boys smoking the rock? Are you seriously going to try to fucking play that? All right, you're going to try to say that the inner city heroin problem is a fucking white problem? You're going to try to claim that the inner city fucking crack problem is a fucking white problem because, oh, white people are more likely to have fucking drugs on them? Well, considering just by the proportion to population, there are more white people than there are black people. So statistically, maybe, you know, you might be able to say, well, more white people have drugs on them, but it doesn't hold water.
Our prisons overcrowded, filled with a disproportionate number of black faces, harsher sentences, less effective counsel.
Less effective counsel. So because they get public defenders, poor white boys, you know, they don't get fucked by public defenders. Oh no, they get like, you know, $1,000 an hour fucking attorney from the public defender's office. At least that's what he's trying to portray here. And this idea of, oh, well, you know, they're disproportionately in prison. They're 13% of the population and they commit over half the fucking crime in this country. Maybe that's why they're 38% of the fucking prison population, which if you think about it, where they commit half the fucking crime, shouldn't they be half the fucking prison population or over half the prison population as opposed to 38%? Just a thought.
More police encounters in their communities, that's what you get. More in the prisons. Blacks are more likely to have the cops called on them. Officers are more likely to use force on them. And while
this is what's funny. Just so that they can lie about this. Use of force by police based on data from traffic stops. Because if they use the actual fucking data, okay, which a black, I don't want to call him a scientist, but a professor over at MIT did a fucking study and looked at the whole thing of when it comes to blacks and whites, violence enacted against them by cops. And guess what? Overall, whites are more likely to have the police use force on them or shoot them than blacks. That's the MIT study. CNN's got to cherry pick traffic stops because the overall shows they're full of shit.
Vast majority of the time, those cases don't make the news and don't end with those losing their lives. It still happens. And when someone does die at the hands of a police officer, they are more likely to be.
More white people are killed by cops than black people. Okay, especially on the note of unarmed people. Like I said, referring to that MIT study. Sorry, Cuomo, you're full of shit.
Black. Two reasons someone like Larry Kudlow would say they don't see systemic racism in this country. One, because in his world, he doesn't see it.
No, because one, there really isn't, and you're full of shit.
But I believe the real reason is he's following Trump protocol.
Oh, so now this is what's funny. He's literally going to say what CNN, the Democrats, legacy media, and others on that side of the false left-right paradigm have been doing, and he's going to say it's Trump.
Lie, deny, and defy. Trump is not the first to play this division in our society. As I just argued it, it is built in. The challenge is to change it, and that is going to require something that Kudlow, Trump, and co. don't appear to have: the will to create a more perfect union. I'm late.
Okay. Now, hey, Fredo, I got an idea for you. All right? I got an idea for you, Fredo. How about you take that Hampton home that you're building, build a guest house set up for, like, say, 2 apartments. Build a fucking guest house at your Hamptons fucking property, you shitbrick, all right? And then make them rent control and invite black people to go and rent those fucking places. If you seriously want to say that there's systemic racism and everything else, why don't you do your part to help the black community? And the least you can do is take your fucking multi-million-dollar fucking property in the Hamptons that you're building, all right, and build some fucking guest houses that you can rent out to black people. Until you do that, shut the fuck up. Because you know what? You're just a virtue signaling piece of shit who's got no fucking clue, who like Fredo from The Godfather, your namesake, okay? You think you're smart. You think you're wicked smart when you're a fucking moron. Anyway, I've covered this well enough. I'm going to leave things here. If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video, when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.